Good evening, VEDS. So each morning, usually while walking to class, I listen to Up First, which is NPR's kind of 10-minute rundown on the news. And obviously, one of the big things it covers is politics. And it had me thinking today of a realization I had last year and more of early this year. There's a dangerous relationship between me and politics that I think maybe other people share, but who knows. And that's that I find politics entertaining. Not just that I find political entertainment, like John Oliver entertaining, the whole drama of Washington and all this stuff, I get entertained by it. And it's like this sick part of me that likes watching the train crash, right? I like seeing the drama of it all, the characters unfold, the twists. Primarily what got me interested or thinking about this today was they were running down talking about the new healthcare bill proposal, and they were talking about who's in and who's out, and it was almost like a sports lineup, right? And I'm not a big fan of sports, but I'm very familiar with like sports commentary and stuff, and I think a lot of times we can find political commentary to be fulfilling the same kind of cathartic itch for us. And as previously mentioned, we live in a time where politics is a big part of entertainment, especially comedy. Almost every late night entertainer nowadays is mainly going to talk about politics. We have political pundits who are trying to be just as entertaining as they are insightful. And I don't mind those shows. Like I said, I find John Oliver entertaining. I find some of the other people who also participate in that entertaining. But sometimes that entertainment can really bog down what it means to be a politically informed individual. For example, I used to listen to a podcast called The VEDS on Politico, but eventually I found out I'm not actually getting that much information from this show. What I'm really doing is I'm being entertained by it. That doesn't mean that that show is bad at what it does. It just meant for me personally, what I was getting out of it was not what I wanted to get out of it. So eventually I stopped watching that, or stopped listening to that podcast, and I cut that out. I've also cut out some other inflows of news that they may be informative, but what they've really been doing is just entertaining me and kind of keeping me hooked to the drama of politics. Why does this matter? Well, I think it does two things. First off, it kind of distanced myself from the reality of this stuff. If I'm seeing this as a big old character drama with here's Scaramucci and here's John McCain and here's all these different political figures, then I'm not going to see it as reality. And I think, for me at least, it's hard to see this stuff as reality as it is because we're getting bombarded with so much. It's hard for me to take the time to parse that as something that's really happening unless it's a big deal. But I think that this just enforces this kind of notion my mind instinctually has to kind of categorize this in the same way I would categorize other forms of entertainment, which is not exactly the same way I should be approaching politics as an active member of America's political spectrum. I think the second part of this is that it kind of reinforces this partisanship that's been building up in the US. And I'm an independent, so I don't really have a party. I have one party that I align with over the other, generally, but even then I feel like on issue to issue I just start I start seeing less of the issue and I start seeing the sides. And for me that doesn't mean that I am siding with someone, it means that I'm looking at their strategies and stuff and I lose focus of what's on the middle. And I can imagine, for me at least, if I did land on either the right or the left and I still had this kind of politics as entertainment philosophy going on in my head, then that would build up my partisanship. And I think partisanship is a terrible thing for politics. So the next step is to combat this. So how do I combat this in myself? Well, sometimes I just see the unnecessary entertainment that's not adding any value that I should be gaining, and I just cut it out. That's what I did with the weeds. But sometimes I can't do that. Like, I still want to say it as an informed citizen, so I'm not just going to cut out Up First every time that they bring up a topic that triggers that in my mind. What I need to be doing is I need to be looking at this stuff very critically and not just absorbing information, but distilling it. Am I caring about this because I care about the issue, or am I getting caught up in the drama of it? So I don't really know how to fix it long term other than to stay vigilant when consuming politics, because politics has become a consumer item. I mean, hell, our president is a salesman. He is someone who has sold himself just as a brand alone. If that is not a representation of politics turning into a consumerist entertainment, then what is? So that's my topic for today. If you have any thoughts on this, or you want to just take the idea of politics and run with it, I'd love to see you do that in either your own VEDS videos, if you're doing VEDS, in your VEDS blogs, if you're doing VEDS, and just in the comments if you have something insightful to say. So VEDS, I will see you tomorrow.